These Broncos, the wires on them are like 40 and 50 years old. And there are so many crazy hacks that people have done, redneck mods that people have added to every Bronco that I see. So we're gonna look at the electrical system, we're gonna look at the wiring, and figure out if you're in a safe place with your wiring. First, I want you to check in your engine bay and look around at all the wires. Depending on the year of your Bronco, the holes in your firewall and your wiring layout are gonna be a little bit different. But what you're checking is each and every one of the wires. Now mine all look nice because I just put in a new painless wiring harness and wrapped it with this nice wiring loom. But when you're looking at yours, you may see something like on my old wiring harness. I happen to keep my old wiring harness, and this thing is a mess. Now, the thing that you're looking for on this is any old and exposed wires like this. Look at that. It's like frayed and just fallen apart. Now, exposed wires aren't going to severely electrocute you or anything like that. But what you want to be careful of is exposed wires can actually cause a short and can actually start a fire in your Bronco even when it's just parked in your garage. So you want to really look for any exposed wires. The other thing that you want to look for is electrical tape. Now from the factory, Ford would wrap a lot of these wires in electrical tape to hold them together, and that's totally fine. And also, automotive electrical tape is a lot stronger than just the normal electrical tape that you can buy at like Home Depot. You don't want to put electrical tape on exposed wires because what can happen is the heat from the engine can begin to melt the glue on the electrical tape, and that electrical tape begins to come undone or it gets brittle, and then it exposes the wire again. So you want to make sure that where there is electrical tape, there isn't any exposed wire under the electrical tape. The next thing you want to look for is any kind of butt connector or any kind of that little twisty tie connector that you put in electrical boxes and stuff like that. Those connectors are bad for an automotive application. So you want to look for those, and if you find them, you want to take it apart and do a proper job using heat shrink tubing and a good solder. Now I know a lot of you guys don't have the tools to make these connections. So what I did was I put a kit together of Amazon products that will help you in actually soldering two wires together. It comes with heat shrink tubing and a bunch of other stuff that is super helpful when fixing wiring on your Bronco. Next, you want to look under the dash, and what you're looking for here are, yes, exposed wires and bad connectors, but the other thing you're looking for are just wires that are left alone and left out. Now, when I did the painless wiring harness, when I was removing the dash, Ford had wrapped all of the wires up in automotive electrical tape. Now, why that was so great was because that electrical tape added another barrier from the wires rubbing on bare metal, because the thing is, you know, you get vibration as you're driving, and you just want to make sure that that vibration or just that movement isn't going to wear down the plastic on one of your wires so that it can begin to short out on this metal dash inside of here or a metal piece inside. So what you want to look for are any wires that are just out. You know, they can still, they're not maybe exposed, but they're just out and can be rubbing and begin to get exposed. So just get under here with a flashlight, crawl under here and just kind of look at the wiring through here, look at all the things under here, and just make sure that you don't have any loose wires. Definitely make sure no bad connections and no exposed wires. The last place is to crawl under your Bronco and check the wiring along the frame. The two things you're checking for in the back of the Bronco are the health of the wires and the grounds. A lot of the times on these old frames, the metal becomes rusty and no longer transmits the current to be a valid ground. If you're having troubles with your fuel gauge or tail lights, I would guess that your ground is bad. Now you can see where I actually cut my old ground off my frame because my frame wasn't transmitting the current to the front of my Bronco. I actually have a separate wire running from my engine to the back of the Bronco as a dedicated ground for my inline fuel pump and for my fuel tank. If you found any of this information helpful, there's a link in the description below to download the Better Bronco Challenge PDF. Go ahead and download it. It's free, it's for you, and follow the steps to have a better Bronco. But here's the thing, if you really want to get serious about this, there's a video series at betterbronco.com, and you can buy the entire series and go through all of the steps that hundreds of people have gone through to get their Broncos in the best shape that it's been in for years. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.